the House kills the effort to release reports on congressional sexual abuse and misconduct. Put it up full mass. They're trying to spin the narrative. I will expose the spin. The House has killed Nancy Mace's resolution that would have released congressional sexual misconduct and harassment reports, which came in response to the story we reported on earlier of Tony Gonzalez having an affair with an aide who took her own life. Mace forced a floor vote on her resolution directing the House Ethics Committee to make public all reports on allegations of congressional lawmakers and aides engaging in sexual misconduct or harassment. But in a 357 to 65 vote, the House voted to refer the Mace resolution to committee, which basically is a move that effectively kills the resolution. Now, there are nuances here that have to be considered. For example, the privacy of the individuals making the complaint, because the ethics committee, the House Ethics Committee, they guarantee confidentiality in order to shield victims from congressional retaliation or retaliation from their very powerful allies. So I get that part, and I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. To utilize that as the shield for the reason why you decide to not enact common sense legislation, to expose where all this taxpayer money is going, is insane to me. In addition to that, according to the narrative, the House Ethics Committee, they are utilizing that investigative arm in order to, let's just say, apply political pressure when it suits them to certain politicians who have been exposed in their investigatory process. You get the picture. Now, the excuse. The Ethics Committee had encouraged members to vote to refer the resolution. In a joint statement, the Republican and Democratic leaders of the committee argue it, quote, could chill victim cooperation and witness participation in ongoing and future investigations, and would make it harder for the committee, quote, to investigate and eliminate sexual misconduct in the House. Quote, here and elsewhere, perpetrators of sexual misconduct should never be shielded from responsibility of their misdeeds. Chairman Michael Guest, Republican, Mississippi, and a ranking member said, but they added, quote, victims may be re-traumatized by public disclosures of interim work product, excerpts of interview transcripts and certain exhibits, and witnesses who often only speak to the committee confidentially or on condition of future anonymity could fear retaliation if their cooperation is made public. One representative said, this is why American people hate us. Here it is.
I just think it's really disgusting how this institution protects itself, because y'all just half of them voted to send this stuff to House Ethics where you know it's going to die. We know that members of Congress are using taxpayer dollars to pay off sexual harassment. We just had a member of Congress literally sexually harass a woman that then lit herself on fire, and you guys all protected him. Yep. You guys all protected my own side, your side. And so if you guys want to talk about victims, if you want to go out and virtue signal, and then you guys are going to kill her stuff on the floor and then try to pass it. Yeah, of course, we should subpoena all of this stuff. But just, I'm not going to sit here and play games. I think it's a complete fraud. I think that's why the American people hate us. I think the midterms are coming up and everyone should go on record for this. And I hope that members are exposed for this.
You can provide a conclusive summary of the investigation that redacts or doesn't include the name of the accusers or those who provided information that the investigative committee interviewed. It's called redaction. You can include that in the resolution. You can include that in the statutory framework. You can ensure that victims are protected while also maintaining transparency for those that the committee has concluded to be in violation. And typically, if you're paying money out of a slush fund based on the accusation and a preponderance of the evidence due to the accusations, that means there's some there. There's more. Remember the guy, once again, that this all started from, at least this modern context of the resolution? Well, he initially basically denied that he had an affair with an aide, gaslit a whole bunch of folks. How dare you make such an accusation? Okay. He has now admitted to that affair. Here it is.
I made a mistake and I had a lapse in judgment and there was a lack of faith. And I take full responsibility for those actions. Since then, I've reconciled with my wife, Angel. I've asked God to forgive me, which he has. And my faith is as strong as ever.
She's dead. Put him up full mask. How dare you, man? How dare you? This woman was likely so enthralled with you that the idea of not being with you, and by the way, you're a charlatan, the idea of not being with you, the idea of what that would mean to her life, because you present yourself bigger than life, but it's all fake, it's all phony. And maybe you got some folks in your camp trick, but you don't have anyone outside of it trick. So while you can believe that you're holding on to some dignity by, one, dishonoring her even in death by denying any of this ever happened, dishonoring your wife, I'm sure you lied to her first, but it's one thing to lie to yourself, man. So you can believe what you choose to believe about who has forgiven you and who has not. You have dishonored that position. And a person, a whole human being who worked for you, is dead, unalived herself. In some decent news, the House Oversight Committee has finally subpoenaed Pam Bondi. So GOP Representative Nancy Mace has now made a move to subpoena the Attorney General of the United States, and it actually passed 24-19. It passed with bipartisan support. Mace was joined by Democrats and fellow Republicans, Tim Burchett, Michael Cloud, Lauren Boebert, and Scott Perry, of all people. Also, Commerce Secretary agreed to testify before the House Oversight Committee. So the Commerce Secretary, once a Manhattan neighbor of Jeffrey Epstein, by the way, voluntarily agreed to an interview with the House Oversight Committee over past ties to the convicted sex offender. He told Axios, and I quote, "I look forward to appearing before the committee. I have done nothing wrong, and I want to set the record straight. If you work for Trump, you've done something wrong. So let's go ahead and eliminate that ridiculous line. If you work for Trump, you've done something wrong, because Trump don't hire clean hands. What corrupt politician hires clean hands? So no, you're not drama-free. Hopefully it is exposed. All right, dear brother, thoughts here?
Well, so many. First of all, it's sort of rich. I'm a religious person as well. You commit this heinous act, and you're like, "Well, God forgave me, so we all can wrap this up here." It's sort of comical, but I don't even like calling it Congress anymore. In civics class, you learn the roles and responsibilities of the three branches of government, the co-equal and checks and balances. This is not what we have here. They have completely defaulted on investigating other branches of government. So they definitely have no interest in investigating themselves on anything. That's the one thing that has bipartisan support consistently, is they don't care to be transparent to us about anything. I think it is a step in the right direction that Pam Bondi is being subpoenaed, but ultimately it will probably be a humongous waste of time because she is belligerent. Her and the rest of everybody else in this Trump administration has no interest in being accountable to anybody, let alone the voters. I think they need to just cut to the chase and impeach her already for failing to abide by the Epstein Release Act. I assume that's the name of it. I may just make that up. But the law requiring her to release the files, her testimony before the House, before the Senate, brazen, doesn't care one bit about protecting victims of sexual abuse, either at the hands of Epstein or at the hands of themselves, like the case in this congressperson. And I applaud Nancy Mace for being a champion consistent on this. Now, I watched the Clinton deposition, and she certainly has a way of making everything about herself. Nancy Mace does,
Right. Yeah.
but at least she's consistent with wanting victims to have their day in court. And Pam Bondi just refusing to meet with anybody. And I have some sympathy for as far as cabinet members go, because Pam Bondi has been given the most difficult job. But then you get what you sign up for. President Trump is an amoral person. They knew his name was in it, probably almost as much as Epstein's name was in it. And so you cannot campaign on transparency and know that you were the one that's guilty. So she's caught between this impossible situation, and she should just quit. It's not a job anybody can do. She should quit. She's a disgrace to the office. The House of Representatives is a disgrace for defaulting Americans for this long. President Trump is a tremendous disgrace, but that's a foregone conclusion. But I'm just tired. I'm exhausted. And I wish we'd get our government back, the government that we pretend like we had.
Yeah. And hopefully this time, because of how much has been exposed, we actually can progress forward rather than having the illusion of progress. We actually make progress this time. When, not if, but when the government returns back to people who have some light in them.